Yo, what's up, my friends? Happy Friday. I'm freshly back from such a beautiful day of skiing this morning. Oh my gosh, first day of the season, actually earliest opening since 1998. So, yes, it was a great day, but that's not what we're talking about today, even though I love Fridays. But it's not TGI Friday because it's the weekend, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you love every day, right? So, all right. So here's the thing. I want to talk about a couple items. Like it's fun. I find it fascinating. And I'll just say it doesn't make you look good when you are in a company and you're promoting it and it's the coolest thing. It's like the best thing. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. And then the next day, because whatever went awry, and I get it, things go awry. You have a disagreement with owners, or they've changed the formulation, or something happens. You get in an argument with somebody, they change something in the comp plan. I mean, the thing is, like, change is always going to be taking place. You are never going to find perfection in any company anywhere ever. It's never going to happen. Any of you have changed companies, have gone to, from one company to another, which happens. I mean, that does happen. The more you peel the layer of the onion back, then, it's a problem, but it might be just a different problem. So the real reason I wanted to do this live today is just people continue to do this. It's like, and again, most of the lives that I do are based on conversations or uh just things that I see on social media. And like day before yesterday, it's like somebody is like bashing the company that they were involved in, that literally like a week before was like, oh, this is awesome, this is great. And they were probably putting up some front where it looked like, oh, this is the greatest thing. And they were already, I don't know this is fact, but they were putting on their game face while they were already still frustrated. And then the moment they flipped the switch to the new deal, they talk, and I don't like cussing on here, so I try not to. So they just start talking smack about the previous company. And the thing you have to understand, and I get it, sometimes it's frustrating. It's always frustrating when something goes awry with a company and your faith and belief in the company that you were building and put all this time, effort, and energy into is wavered or is just completely cut off. So I get it. I totally do. I've had company owners that gambled most of the money away and they could no longer pay checks. I've had companies completely change the compensation plan. I was with a company one time, they changed the comp plan. We were crushing it, and literally recruiting dropped by 97%. That was the statistical number, 97% overnight. So needless to say, not a single leader in that company was happy. By the way, that company's still in business to this day. But when you go on social media on a rant and talk smack, I'm going to use it. I use the word smack. There's another word in my mind, but I'm not going to say that word. But you guys can kind of get the drift. You're just making yourself look stupid, because people who've been watching you promoting this other company for, whatever period of time, about how, you're at these events and around all these amazing people and this is cool and da da da. And then all of a sudden, that's a piece of garbage. That's like a moldy piece of bread. It was the greatest thing since sliced bread yesterday. Now it's just this moldy piece of garbage. It just doesn't look good on you. And I understand the frustration, but the thing you've got to do, if you're faced with that, if you're faced with the situation of having to change companies, which, I mean, I'll say that the odds of that are fairly high. Be cool if you could find one deal, build it forever and never have to build again. But that's not always the case. In fact, it's probably not often the case. But if you choose to leave, my suggestion is you take the high road, the road less traveled, where just be the good person on the way out. And I get sometimes there's, stuff that's going on and anger, but to spew it and to vent it and to bring it all for the public to see on social media, I don't think, is, even if they mistreated you and disrespected you, I don't think that it makes you look good. Like, couldn't you choose? It's kind of like when, you're driving down the road, you're cruising along, having a great day. It's a Friday, it's sunny, the wind's blowing in Todd's knot hair. and and I'm just having a great day. I'm listening to some Bob Marley, and I'm just jamming, and having a good time. And some guy cuts me off, and I could either pull the Falcone road rage, which I don't, and be like, and flipping him off and, playing this aggressive driver thing, which by the way, I've probably done. I'm not saying I don't make that the regular habit. Or I could be like, hey man, obviously that guy's in a rush and I just back off and let him go. And the funny thing is I'll probably see him at the next light. Have you ever noticed that? Like somebody's like in a big rush to try to get in front of you, and they get in front of you and they're like in this huge rush and they're like, just kind of driving like an idiot. And then this is my favorite thing actually. I won't say my favorite thing, but this is fun. You end up like pulling, he had a huge rush, and then he pulls up right next to you at the next light, and you just look at him and you go, "Hi, how you doing?" with a little smile. Funny thing is, if that just pisses those guys off even more. So, but that's not really. I mean, aggressive driving is not what I'm talking about. It's situations, scenarios that we're faced with that you handle yourself in a different way. You decide to take the high road. I had a conversation I think it was Thursday. Well, I guess it was yesterday. Somebody asked me, why do people get so pissed off like when somebody leaves a company? And it's like, and this is a person that came out of corporate America, is fairly new in network marketing. And I said, people don't do that in corporate America. Like if some exec leaves and goes to another company, they don't get all bent out of shape and, you know, flame them on social media and block them and do all this stuff. I said, well, it's very simple. And some of you may understand this, some of you may not. Why is it that if somebody's in a network marketing company and they leave for whatever reasons to go someplace else, they, you know, they lose those relationships? Well, because, and it doesn't always, the relationships are not always lost. I'm not suggesting or saying that, but because people are financially attached to one another through a compensation structure, generally speaking, those individuals are impacted negatively. Like for example, if a top leader leaves a company and they go someplace else, you know, somebody of influence, persuasive leader, the people down lower in the organization at lower ranks or newer people, or even people that have been around for a while, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? What's wrong? Is something wrong with the company? And so immediately kind of puts people, I don't know, just not at ease. And d- does that, if a big leader leaves a company, does that mean that there's something wrong with the company? No, it doesn't. Okay. Maybe sometimes it does, but most of the time it doesn't. They left for whatever reason. And then it's like, how do you, like, let's say people are leaving an organization and they're going to another company. Like one of the word I see this really is fascinating to me. Like somebody could be at a company for 7, 8, 9 years and have made seven figures in that company. And they, either this is normally what takes place. They get comfy. They feel like, oh, okay, cool, I've made all this money. And then they lay back and they stop doing the things that got them there in the first place. And they go into management mode. They aren't recruiting the way that they were recruiting. They're the big shot, and they show up for the stuff or whatever, but they're not really grinding. They're not in the trenches building anymore. And the thing is, it's not like recruiting is not like riding a bike, like, okay, like skiing. Okay, so check that. So I went skiing today. Like I haven't skied since end of April of last year. First time back on skis. Like because I've done it for so long, I can step away from skiing for a year, come back, and it's like, no problem. That's, when people use that term, like, oh, it's just like riding a bike. Well, you step away from recruiting for a long enough period of time. And even myself, like if I stepped away from like prospecting, like I still prospect every day. I'm talking to company owners. I'm talking to key leaders. I'm still, always talking to people. I'm always like on the daily. If I stepped away from that, even with the level of experience and the years of doing it for a really long period of time, it would be a little bit, I don't know, a little bit less fluid, a little more awkward, the first, handful of calls back. That's why I say, like, just, do something daily, whether it's a little bit or a lot, do something daily. So you're not stepping away from something for, a whole long period of time, because then stepping back into it is even more difficult. But it's like, okay, you got somebody who's been in a company for 7, 8 years. They made 7 figures. And there's one person in my mind that's, the story is almost exactly like this, except for the period of time was like 4 years. She built a big business, made 1.5 million in pretty short period of time, went into management mode, stepped completely away from recruiting, and had a hard time getting back into it. It's like, I just don't know if I don't know if I got this anymore. I'm like, girl, you got it. You just have to get into it and get after it. And then this is what sucks, is like, because you chose to go into management mode and step away from the game, and your your organizational size wasn't large enough, where you had layers upon layers upon layers of other leaders that basically held that thing up. Over time, the income typically will dissipate. And, if you're not tending, it's like, if you're driving down the road and you take your hands off the wheel and you close your eyes, eventually you're going to crash. So same thing, you step away from the wheel for long enough, eventually it's going to crash. And then what happens is, and this is not unusual. Oh, my check. So let's say their check was, I don't know, 30 grand a month. Now it's 7 or 5 or whatever. It's now at a point where it's like, at 30, I was living pretty good. At 6 and 7, I'm going backwards. And then, they're like, they think that the issue is the company, when the issue is in the mirror. And so because they think it's the company, they start to go on the hunt and the search for something new, something something fresh, kind of like a new relationship. It's real exciting, the moment, that first date, that first kiss, the first time that you make love. And you over a period of time, if you don't keep things fresh and exciting, things can kind of get boring. So I'm not giving you relationship advice today, but just, that is true. And so now you start, because it got so boring at home, you start looking around, and, you go find somebody else, for example. In this case, you go find another company. This is the thing that pisses me off. You go find a company and you go start building someplace else, and the reason you're going and building someplace else is because you went into management mode. Has nothing to do with the company. You go into management mode, you stepped away from the wheel for so long that your check is jack diddly. And now you're like going over to this other company, and then you're coming back and you're stealing people from the previous company that you're in, not just from your own organization, but other organizations. And now what you're doing is you're planting seeds of doubt with all of these other people, because at one time you were a big shot in the company, or a medium shot. You were a public figure in that company, and you were doing, good volume. People knew they knew who you were. You were on leadership trainings. You kind of vanished by, like, not really doing anything. Your check was negatively impacted. Now you go find another deal because it's more exciting for you, even though you should just go look in the mirror and go, I got to get my ass back to work. And you go take this company that was the greatest thing since sliced bread for the last several years. And because you can't take responsibility and go, this is actually my fault, you go find another company, and then you go ruin relationships and in planting seeds of doubt with people that think that things are great, and they are great. But now, because this leader, I use that in quotation marks, this leader, who's really not a leader because they went into management mode, is now, going through the organization methodically, calling people and saying, come on over here. It's faster, it's bigger, it's better, it's more exciting. And you will lose friends by doing that. And again, this business isn't just all about making friends. This is business, but that's just BS. That is, to me, like, one of the worst things that you can do is leave a company, go to another one, talk shit about that other company. And even though yesterday it was great, and now you go in this other company, and now you're tearing apart somebody else's dreams and aspirations, even though the problem ain't the company, the problem's you. And yeah, people, you're gonna have some challenges there. Instead, what you could do, if you're so skilled and talented, is what you could do. And look, I get like in all of my years of doing network marketing, I have never once, never one time been terminated from a network marketing company. Why? Because if I left a company, and I've left several, when I left the company, I left the organization intact and I went and started fresh. Why? Because I've got the work ethic and the skill set to go do it again. I don't need to go steal from this place that I was at to go bring and suck people over to this other company. I think that's just bad juju, man. It's just, it doesn't look good. And you only have one reputation and you tarnish it. Good luck getting it back. And even people that, okay, I said this business isn't just about making friends; it is business. People that you did develop friendships with. Now you've just completely ruined those. It's just in leaving companies, there's really only a couple ways to leave a company. You either leave clean or you leave dirty. I don't know that there's really an in between. It's either I just disappear off into the sunset. And what's crazy to me, like I have a company that I left. I won't say I left, but I stopped building, like, I'll just say way over a decade ago, way over, almost 2 decades. And they've never stopped paying me ever since. That company has paid me month in, month out, year in, year out for almost 20 years. And not like a pittance, like a good check. Why? Well, number one, it's a good, solid company that has stuff that people want and use. But number two, I didn't go take those company and rip them out. The people in those company rip them out and bring them someplace else. Left it completely intact. And the thing is, like sometimes, and if you're ever faced with this scenario, and I've coached a lot of people through this kind of scenario. It's like, should I stay here? Should I, I'm torn. And I've coached a lot of people through that decision-making process. If you walk away clean and you go build from scratch because you got the skills and you don't steal from people, which is kind of what you're doing. That's why people get bent out of shape, because you're taking money out of my pocket or their pockets. Then if you go over to this other company and realize, oh my gosh, man, I peeled 2 layers of the onion back. That's it. Only 2 layers. And it's already just, it ain't cool. Then you could actually go back to that company. And as a leader, when people leave your organization, which they will, there's no way around it. They will. People, even great companies that are in vertical growth mode, people leave those companies. My philosophy has always been, if you leave my company, I'm like, hey, look, you got to take, if you feel that's the best decision for you, then go for it, man. Like, who am I to say, like, like, you live your life. I have my life. You have your life. We happen to be together in this company. But if you feel like you're going to be better off over there, then have at it. I've never like negged somebody out for leaving and like flamed them and like screw you and blah, blah, blah. Not one time. Because here's the thing. And I've had this happen many times. People, because I was nice on the way out of them leaving. And I'm like, hey, I'll take care of your people. I got them. And here's the thing. Like if you were to leave a company nicely and you didn't cross recruit, steal people, chances are that asset that you built could continue to grow over time. So you could potentially leave that company from an daily active standpoint. And then the company continues to pay you for years and years on end. Like I'm not a big, I don't know, how do I put this? Like and the other thing is I've never resigned from a company. I've never sent in a resignation letter. That's it. Now, if you have, that's cool. That's you. That's fine. I'm not judging anybody for that. But I'm like, why the hell should I resign? I built this thing. And if I choose to step away, this isn't a job. The reason people resign most of the time is because they are going to come in on the attack and they're going to take people knowing that they're going to get their check taken. And if you leave a company, you don't resign, and you start talking to people on the previous deal, you deserve to get terminated. You deserve to get your check terminated. So it's like, I don't know. I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts? I don't even know how many people here, because I'm doing this on StreamYard. I don't even know if anybody's watching me. Hopefully on a Friday afternoon, there are some people here. But anyhow, just again, some thoughts for the day to end the week. I hope you guys are having a glorious week. Real quickly before I bail, Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific time, I'm doing a very significant webinar that if you're a networker and you're on social media, you need to be there. I'm just going to tell you right now. If you use social media and your team uses social media, this webinar that's happening on Tuesday is probably the biggest announcement that I've made. I don't do a lot of big announcements. I mean, if you guys follow me for a long time, it's not like new big announcement. Hey, it's like people call me and they're like, hey, Todd, what's new? Like I'm on to something. I'm like, no, I don't know. What's new with you? I'm doing the same thing. So, so toddfalcone.com/webinar. You'll probably hear, if you're plugged into my Facebook page or wherever this happens to be streaming, which is multiple places, you're going to hear about it, because next few days, I'm going to just keep hammering it until we fill up registrations for this thing. So toddfalcone.com/webinar. And it's a free webinar. It's taking place 2 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday. And this thing is just freaking cool, period. It's one of the coolest things that I've ever seen hit the network marketing space, especially when it comes to social media. So no, I'm not going to tell you anything about it. You need to be at the webinar on Tuesday. So, and if you go register for the webinar and you're like, bro, I can't be there on Tuesday, I'll make sure I send you out the replay so you still have the information. But you're not going to get the information unless you go register for the free webinar that takes place Tuesday. So just know, I get it. You maybe got a full-time job, or you got another meeting at that time. I was on the slopes today, talked to a good buddy of mine who's a 7-figure earner with a company. And he's like, I absolutely want to be there, but I'm going to be probably on an airplane and I don't know about the internet. So I'll just go register. I'll make sure you get the replay. So just know that. Anyhow, it's going to be interesting tonight. Little Mike Tyson, Jake Paul. Yeah, it should be kind of fun. So I hope Mike Tyson just smokes him. Get the I don't want to say the old man, because I think we're about the same age. The more mature man that's lived a little longer takes Jake. So, all right. That's it. I'm out. So have a good one. And those are my thoughts for the day. We'll see you.